I think this is the first ever rendition of my opening theme that does not feature dancing Yuna singing "Break Me." I cut to Game Crazy Zelda, and I also cut to the I think that really great reaction face I have in the Captain America review, where the guy's like, "Brackett's no Mad Dog killer, he's after something." I always like cutting together new versions of the opening. I don't know if I do a great job all the time, but here it is. I always really envy some other reviewers, especially the Nerd, because the Nerd has like this endless wealth of opening sequences. It almost seems like he has a new one every single time he puts out a review, and so I really wish I could get some like fan remixes of the theme. I understand Break Me's probably not as easy to do remixes and performances of, not as easy as the kind of the balladier version of the Nerd theme, but I need to get some fans out there to get some remixes and some animated versions of the intro. I have no idea what you do. I have no inspiration for you, otherwise I'd do it myself, but animation not my strong suit. That's why. Okay, so true story. When I started out, I like in high school, I got a job as a freelance movie critic for Knights of the Dinner Table magazine, and probably the one and only time I've ever had any real professional stroke, or at least I got like a perk as the result of the job. No, this is gonna sound really bad, but like, okay, in 1999, I get basically a press invitation to an exclusive screening of Wing Commander, like seeing it when the critics see it the day before the release, so you can kind of write a review for it. So I actually got like a press pass, which was awesome. I've never gotten like a press invitation to another event before or since. I mean, I've had some great invitations to like the SGC and stuff like that, but this was like 1999, so this was huge for me. I was a kid. So, and I was a huge fan of Wing Commander, really huge. I seriously, like, it's my favorite game series of pretty much all time, because I was a big PC gamer. I loved Space Sims, and the Wing Commander series is pretty much the one and only really truly great full motion video game series. And I loved Privateer. Didn't like Privateer 2 so much, and I can't remember if Privateer 2 came out before or after this. I know that this movie uses a lot of sound effects from Privateer 2, especially when they use the computers. There's this little squealy, squirty kind of computer sound effect. Oh, that... I should have saved that shot for last, because I was screaming my head off like some woman in a 1930s movie, like standing on a table and shrieking. And I did that like the first shot I did. And so when you do that for like 3.5 minutes, it does not do your voice any favors. And I spent the entire rest of this video with like a splitting headache. So I actually took like a half hour, popped some Excedrin, and then came back. So yeah, I should have planned that one a little better. So yeah, that was pretty much my reaction when I saw the fucking poster to this movie. Was just, I don't think anybody came into this film having a good feeling about this one, especially since Wing Commander's 3, 4, and even 5, which 5 is kind of the black sheep of the series, because it's I think it's intended to be kind of a reboot of the series. It takes place after the whole Kilrathi War. They introduce a new threat of bug aliens, and it still has Mark Hamill in it, but Mark Hamill is Commodore. He's basically the guy in charge ordering your new pilot around. You play like a young hotshot pilot called Casey. And I actually liked that one. I thought the gameplay was really good. The story, not so much. The story was extraordinarily basic. It was kind of a throwback to the very, very first game, where you're just kind of this young guy, new aliens appear, and you deal with the big gate. They're trying to build this enormous fucking Stargate to bring their big ships through, because they can only come through like piecemeal at a time. But if they set up a wormhole, then they're coming through in full fucking force. So I even like that one, but when it was announced that Freddie Prinze and Matthew Lillard were in this one, there were press photos of Lillard mugging like a jackass, and really, I hadn't even seen SLC Punk at that point. I think I was maybe just a little too young to fully appreciate that one, but I'd never seen it. But apparently that's the one good movie he's in, and I kind of doubt that one. But yeah, and Matthew Lillard was no great shakes, too. I think the thing was he'd appeared in a ton of really unfunny romantic comedies like She's All That, and I think a couple others. I never watched any of them. And I think the rumor was that he was getting really frustrated with being typecast in romantic comedies, and so this was going to be his big breakout role. This was going to be his space epic, his action movie thing, where people would take him seriously as an action star. And I don't think anybody bought it at the time, and certainly nobody buys it now. I think only now. I don't actually watch 24 either, but apparently he's showing up in 24. Is the show over now? I think so. I think it's the last season, but apparently he was pretty good in 24 because he's got a lot more kind of age and maturity to him, and I think he's really worked out kind of his serious face. In this game... in this movie, Freddie Prinze has this really wide-eyed, doe-eyed, mouth-breathing look to him in, like, every single shot. And he really doesn't look like a convincing lead role, like any kind of soldier or, like, hard-boiled pilot or something like that. They do play the fact that he's this really young, naive pilot well, maybe too well. The kid looks like he's just out of, like, diapers, and he spends this entire movie wearing this dorky hat and wearing the dorky helmet. He looks like he's about 10. It's here where I start to pick on the spelling errors, of which there are an unforgivable amount of errors. They misspell like every character's name. There are visuals that are misspelled, like security breach being probably the most obvious one. And I couldn't believe it, because a lot of people pointed out that's a Nokia monitor. You don't think Nokia exists in, like, 2281 or whatever year this is. I also find it really ironic that there's no way to get to their own computer. Like, how the fuck do they fix it if they've surrounded it in impenetrable glass? I don't know. And the guy, his gun fails, and he's like, I'm gonna just plow this fucker through. I'm a man! David Warner probably, like, shot his entire movie in probably 4 hours, because he never leaves this room. He always looks very somber. He's like, we have to get a message to the Tiger Claw. Call for Blair. And so, like, that's his entire role. There's one scene where he gets to yell. He's like, damn it, I know what's at stake! And that's about all he ever gets. Towlin, Devereaux, and... yeah, I'm a pretty big nerd. Also, I actually had this written in the script, but I cut it out because I spent a lot of time bitching about the spelling. But in the game, it's the Tiger's Claw. It's not the Tiger Claw, and it always rubbed me the wrong way when I heard it in the movie. They called it the Tiger Claw. I was like, I think the whole spelling your name thing is about the only reason Turl's in this, but I also like the God bit where he can predict the elevations of any city on Earth. I don't know. He's like, I'm a god. And yeah, my Turl impression still sucks, but I still like this really effeminate, broad gesturing Turl that I've invented. It's kind of funny. I recorded an extra. I actually don't usually do this, but I probably should. But I recorded an extra where I kind of show you what's involved with the Turl costume. I just kind of recycled a bunch of different bits, and I have kind of a drawer. The half full of, like, facial appliances and phony beards and mustaches. Really cheap fare. Actually, the mustache on Turl is one of the better quality mustaches I have. I actually started buying better quality costuming materials and makeup. It's kind of hard doing it myself, but Turl is actually a costume I've managed to streamline and make pretty comfortable, all things told. The first time I did it almost killed me because it was just so hot. But you'll notice probably that Turl is wearing the Curtis Craig gray pocket tee. The entire movie centers around this fucking gravitational anomaly, which Paladin says 1 cubic inch has, like, 10 times the gravitational pull of our own sun. I don't know how you miss this. I don't know why people keep flying into this enormous fucking thing. Or the entire movie centers on this thing. You know, it's how it starts, it's how it ends, and every jump in between, like every time they want to go somewhere really fast, they end up jumping through another one of these, like, gravitational anomalies. And so it's really fortunate, I guess, that the fucking pilgrims are really good at typing out on a 10-digit keypad. I guess that's why everyone thinks they're gods, is because this circumstance happens so often that they need these guys. I don't know. So anyway, back to the story where I was going to the press screening. So we go, I think it was in, what city was it? It was the theater just off ASU campus. It was Tempe. So I go down there, and there was actually newspaper reporters there and stuff like that. It was actually not that full of screening. I actually think there's a bunch of promotional tickets given away to this thing, too. I think because there was a lot of college students there, I think. So we go there. I'm actually really fired up. and I had a +1 ticket, so I think I bring my brother. And we're sitting there, and it's kind of one of those things where you're really fired up, kind of like the original Star Wars previews. So you're fired up, but you're thinking it's probably going to suck. And from what I heard, and I did some research on Wikipedia, and I remembered this. I think Wing Commander was one of the 3 movies that had the first run of the Star Wars Episode 1 preview, and I actually don't remember that, but in hindsight I remember that happening, where people would pay to see Wing Commander, walk in for the Star Wars preview, and then leave. And trust me, those guys were the smart ones by far. Because, you know, at the time, the trailer kicked a lot of ass. You know, the Star Wars trailer. And the movie was so not worth watching. So I wasn't sure if it's better or worse to be a Wing Commander fan going into this movie. Probably worse, because if you're not a fan, you're just looking at this stuff wondering what the hell the big deal is, you know, with these characters and these places and, like, the Kilrathi and... The Kilrathi, which you almost never see in this movie. They're just these very vague, menacing shadows. And the reason for that is the puppets were, or the costumes, whatever you call them, were so bad. From what I've read, there was actually a lot more to the whole Pilgrim Trader thing. Like, you actually see Pilgrim Traders in the movie, and they all had a lot to do with them collaborating with the really bad Kilrathi puppets. And they looked so bad, they basically jettisoned every single second of the Kilrathi puppets that were not strictly, absolutely necessary. And so a lot of the Pilgrim Trader subplot is gone. I think Blair actually stabs one with his Pilgrim medallion. And that's why Paladin has to give him his and something. I don't know. So I'm sitting there and I'm getting really pissed off, like really righteously offended. Oh, there's actually a scene in this movie where they're playing chess. You can see these guys sitting around a table playing chess, and I actually started looking real close at the game they're playing. There's a scene where Maniac, they try to establish that Maniac, despite being a jackass, is a really smart guy. So he's sitting around watching the chess game, and he's like, why don't you move the horsey and take his castle thing? And it results in a checkmate. And so they're like, wow, you are smart, Maniac. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I actually started analyzing the game that they were doing, and what he calls checkmate was not checkmate. I was a huge chess club geek in junior high and high school, and no, it was checkmate in one move, but he didn't say that. He said checkmate. Yeah, I don't know how Bossman died because his starfighter is right there. Maybe he died of appendicitis. I don't know. Jurgen Prochnow is one of those actors that I always find really magnetic. It's just his voice sounds. It's actually just a really sexy voice. I don't know what it is. He's got this really cool accent, and so I kind of feel compelled always to watch any movie he's in just because I like listening to his voice. It's kind of like one of those. You know how some actors just do that, like Morgan Freeman. I don't know. It's gay. It's really gay. Really wish I could do Jurgen Prochnow accent. Yeah, I didn't comment on this really bad Matrix-y ripoff scene. I think every movie was kind of legally required to have a Matrix freeze frame scene. Yeah. So in the movie, back to the premiere. I remember paying a lot more attention because the movie didn't hold my attention. I paid a lot of attention to the behavior of the various critics around me, and they spent most of the movie laughing at the film, not at Maniac. No, they did not like Maniac. It was really just kind of a restless audience, but what they were laughing at was every time these guys tried to look somber and serious. And so whenever somebody died, especially when the black chick Rosie, she dies, Maniac spends like 2 minutes running through the deck going like, I need a medic, someone give me a fire extinguisher, I'm serious, for real, she's dead. And people were just rolling in laughter at this guy. He just horrible acting, and he's just not the kind of guy who has the dramatic gravitas to carry off scenes like this. You know, he's just he just ends up looking like a 6-year-old child who dropped his ice cream cone when he looks upset, and he just did not have the dramatic tools to be a great actor. Where the critics really lost it was there's a scene where Blair is heading off to Earth with Angel. She destroys the torpedo, and her ship is crippled, and she ejects. There's a scene where they get he brings his ship really close to the pod, and she only has an hour of air left, and so he has to make a choice. Like, he can either try to save her or go on this mission, essentially abandoning her to die, because there's basically no hope of rescue. You know, they're too far out. Nobody will find her in time because she's got that much air. So he's leaving her to die. It's supposed to be this really weighty, dramatic scene, and they make this like really like that right there. That scene right there is the scene where they're trying to make this connection. She's like, "It's okay, I understand." And so she's like accepting death. And if these actors were worth a damn, the scene might have had some impact. But as it was, it was just silly because Freddie Prinze was he was like, it's like watching a guy try to work up the nerve to cry on camera, where he's got his lips all pouted out and he's like, "I don't want to leave you," and the critics were just rolling in laughter. It was funny because it wasn't like just kind of tittering backstage, back behind me. It was like open mouth guffaws at that scene. And watching it again, it didn't actually seem that funny to me, but I guess just I was laughing too when I saw that in the theater the first time, because it was just really funny. And so when one person started laughing, it was kind of like the last straw. You know, we kind of suffered through about 75 minutes of this movie, and then they were actually trying to make us care about these characters dying. We were just like, "Fuck you, fuck you."
There's insulting my fucking intelligence.
Bennett the Sage started asking me if I thought this was the worst video game movie of all time. I get that question a lot. What's the worst movie of all time? Stuff like that. And I don't know. I probably hate this video game movie more than any other video game movie, just because it really did just hopelessly rape my favorite video game series. It really did. So I probably have more hatred for this one, but worst, I always have a hard time answering that question because I waffle, but when you're talking about Uwe Boll's movies, any one of them is an immediate top contender, and it would be hard to argue against it. There's a few others, Max Payne being one of them, and probably Mortal Kombat Annihilation, on a pure technical level, are probably worse. Although, seeing these Kilrathi with the fake Freddy Krueger nails, these really bad puppets, it's hard to argue otherwise. This could be one of the worst. If it's not, it's up there. Man, it's up there.
Nobody brings this up. He finds the captured Navcom.
Not much to the movie premiere story after that. It was just kind of a first for me when I saw that. Although there were people walked out of this movie, and in fact, I think some of the critics walked out of this movie, which I'm pretty sure is a critical no-no. I think if you're actually paid to write reviews, I don't think you're supposed to walk out. But I remember a lot of people did walk out. Probably around. About the halfway point, really. I think as soon as we saw the implication that Maniac was getting laid, I think that was too much for a lot of people to accept and want to imagine in their head. And yeah, people walked. Oh, I remember another part that I said you don't need to be a scientist to realize that ships don't drop off the runway in space, and people were like horrified in the theater. I remember hearing a bunch of people. They launch fighters to go fight the Kilrathi, and there's this big scene where they afterburn off, and it's like on an aircraft carrier, like footage you'd see of planes. And when they fire off the runway, they kind of dip a little bit as they leave the runway because gravity takes hold, and they fly off. And they do the exact same thing at 69. When they fly off, they dip off the runway and they shoot off into space. And everyone, when that happened, they laughed because it was such bullshit. You're like, this is outer fucking space. Really bad graphics in this scene. I cannot get over this. This is. I'm serious. Like Wing Commander 3 had interlaced lines and shit, and it was still better than that. But yeah, the ships would keep dropping off the runway. Apparently, they've invented artificial gravity. That's always the concept of gravity on the starships is always something that's kind of ignored in most every sci-fi movie, so maybe the artificial gravity was just really strong off the runway, but I don't know.
That's the Kilrathi.
Oh, these puppets. I love the Kilrathi have goatees.
Completely hairless.
They're hairless cats.
They're hairless cats,
But they kept the goatees.
Yeah, it looks like
So
someone
I just have so many questions. Do they
Based
shave?
your whole
Do they have to
movie
like
on images
manscape
of
their
the
goatees?
laughs off the
Do
set
the
of
Kilrathi women
Power
have 3 rows of
Rangers?
breasts?
Now,
I
when the cat
don't
muster next
know.
to the carrot alien from It Conquered the World.
But for all those youngsters out there who didn't grow up in the same era of gaming that I did,
Okay, I can't.
I
ignore
am
this
not
anymore. These
engaging in.
costumes are
I love that
awful.
free.
He looks like a 10-year-old kid in that dorky helmet.
Ooh.
That's a good trick.
I'm not engaging in hyperbole when I say it really is a great game series. Every one of them, actually. And probably one of the best purchases I ever made was there was a CD-ROM set called the Wing Commander Kilrathi Saga, which I think is 1, 2, and 3. And 4 you can buy separately, and there's a few versions of 4. Now, I haven't played them in a long time. So, I actually can't speak for how well they'll run on modern systems. I wish I could tell you, but if you can find them and you can track them down, I would highly recommend it. The Kilrathi Saga, I gotta tell you, should probably work pretty well. If not, DOSBox is a really great program, and most all that stuff should run on DOSBox. So, if you've never played any one of them, I'd seriously go and like play from all the way from 1 to 4. But they all pretty much stand on their own. 3 and 4 especially, if you can play them. Now, the one downside about 3 and 4 is that they tend to do this thing where they interlace the video clips with these black lines, and it looks really bad. If you can get over that, if you can find a way to remove the lines or play it under Windows, I know there is a Windows 95 patch for Wing Commander 4 at least, but again, that's actually so long ago. I mean, it's 15 years ago. I don't know if it still works, but I would definitely check it out. How the fuck do you miss that? How do you fly into that? Like, that's not a fleet? No shit, Sherlock. My brother had a great line, which I probably should have put in, but I didn't. When the Kilrathi goes, "That's not the Confederation fleet," my brother immediately goes, "It's a trap!" And I was like, I know, but I went to the Star Wars well once already with the Anakin Skywalker bit, and truthfully, "It's a trap" is probably a better bit, but I didn't want to go there because I'm trying to restrain myself from the obvious bits. Another very wise commenter pointed out the similarity that the whole Pilgrim thing, where he can pilot a starship and navigate with his mind, is very similar to the Guild Navigators in Dune. Although he does look a little better than the Guild Navigators. He's not exactly a gigantic floating vagina-faced sperm thing in a tank of honey. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, this one took a while to put out. I don't know what it was. Just all this stuff kind of caught up with me. I had a lot of... I had promised to do a bunch of stuff for other people, and behind-the-scenes stuff, administrative stuff. I've been trying to set up other things, and I've got a lot of projects going, and I think when you multitask like that, you tend to be working on a lot of things, but not having a lot done. Do a lot of work, not a lot to show for it, but yeah. I'm actually getting more focused. I'm actually able now to really focus on the website again for the first time in a while. It's good to get some work done, so I'm back on track with the reviews, at least I hope so. Been doing a lot of shopping for improvements to the setup I've got going on, and getting a lot of new review material. The Game Crazy video was actually a really big inspiration for me, because a lot of people are saying that's one of the best things I've ever done. So that was I think purely due to the fact that it was a really great video, and that Zelda Scott is one of the all-time classic characters. I could have just let that movie run and not said shit, and it probably would have been one of the best things I've ever put up. So I'm always trying to find something as funny as that, but without much luck. But thanks for listening.